good to see you all. Today I'm going to talk about cheap guitars like this one and why you shouldn't automatically dismiss them. So the topic for today is cheap guitars, and I've spoken about this in another video where I said that it's a myth that you have to start out with a cheap guitar, and you don't have to start out with a cheap guitar. If you have the budget, you can go for something more expensive, basically. Now, the thing is though that I think cheap guitars are often dismissed too easily because quality and price don't always go hand in hand. Some things do. I mean, if you buy a cheap guitar, you're gonna get cheap electronics. Like, for instance, with this one, the tone pot does this.
Now, I'm no expert, but I don't think it's supposed to do that.
But provided that the rest of the guitar is in working order, then that shouldn't be a problem. Now, this one is really beaten up. It's got chunks of paint missing and the neck's a bit beaten up, but it's all working. I mean, there are no dead notes on the neck. It plays decently. It's not brilliant. It's not even terribly good, but it's adequate. Now, you could maybe need a spare guitar. Let's say you get a tour of some kind and you don't have the money to invest in a spare guitar. You could go for something cheaper. Now, this, I just checked on eBay. This is a Squier Strat, and you can get a second-hand Squier Strat for 49 euros. That was the cheapest one I saw on eBay that had been sold. 49 euros, that's roughly $55. Now that's nothing. If the guitar is in working order otherwise, it's easy to change the electronics. You can still save a bunch, especially if you can do some of the wiring yourself. That it's a no-brainer basically. Now, what you need to look out for in a cheap guitar is basically does it play well and how it sounds acoustically. There are huge differences in quality between cheap guitars. Now, but that can be true of expensive guitars as well. I bought an Ingve Strat ages ago and instantly sold it. I bought it off eBay and it was horrible. It was absolutely terrible. So I just sold it. Now, you can do the same with a cheap guitar. If you have a local music store that has used items, you can go there and look for cheap alternatives, or you can buy a new cheap guitar. Now, it doesn't mean that it's cheap, that it's absolutely terrible. Like this. This, like I said, isn't great, but it does the job. And you can upgrade the microphones to whatever and redo the electronics and it'll be much better. If it stays in tune, that's one of the big issues, and does it play well, that's another big issue, and is the body any good, that's one issue. Now, why am I saying all of this? Basically, because I had this happen to me ages ago when I had a friend working in the local music store, and they had something called OLP guitars. I think it was officially licensed product. Now, I'm not sure if they were actually officially licensed, but that was the name. And this friend of mine, who was a guitar player as well, he said to me one day when I came into the store, he said, "Hey, come and check this out." And he showed me they had, it looked like a Music Man Eddie Van Halen guitar, and he said, "Try that one out." And I tried it, and man, this is good. It was really, really good. And he said that he thought it was the best guitar in the store. And I kind of agreed with him. I mean, it wasn't really the best guitar in the store. They had an Ibanez Gem that was better, but that was also like, what was it, 100 times the price? Well, not really, but 10 times the price anyway. And but still, the OLP wasn't too far off. Now, there was another OLP, kind of identical, apart from the color, and as far as I know, color doesn't do too much to tone. I tried the other one, and it was terrible. Now, that's my point, basically. If you have the opportunity to try cheap guitars, do that if you need a guitar and you're on a short budget. It can often be better to invest, let's say, 100 to 200 bucks or euros on a guitar, and then a bit more to upgrade the electronics, than to go for a $600 whatever, because they might be just as rubbish. Now, that's not to say that the 600 euro or $600 guitar wouldn't be better. Most often they are, but it doesn't mean that they always are. And that's why you need to just go out there and try different stuff. Buying on eBay could be a bit of a risk because you can't return it often. Some sellers allow returns, and of course you can try selling it, but if you're kind of pressed for time and need a guitar quickly, you can't really do that either. But you can try out stuff in your local music store, and don't just look at the cheap guitars and go, I'm not even going to look at those, because there might be something that's worth having a look at among the cheap guitars. Anyway, did I mention cheap guitars? Seems like I've been saying it all video long. Now, that's basically all I have for you today. Now, this has been me, the guy with the funny surname and the cheap Squier Strat. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please press like, please subscribe if you haven't already, comment, share, and you can even support me on Patreon if you want to. I'll put a link below to Amazon with a cheap Squier so you can have a look at what they cost and kind of what they look like. But basically, the best idea is to go into a local music store. Anyway, that's all from me. See you in another video. Take care. Bye, 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 bye.